Well, good morning, good morning. It's 8:28, almost time for Coffee with Casper. Let me know. Here comes Casper. Here comes the Casper. There he is. There's the Casper boy. Good morning. Let me know where you are. Say good morning. Checking in with you this morning. What you doing? There's a mountain dog over here. There's a mountain dog. I got one on each side here. There you go. Don't ruin the microphone. Good morning, Greg. Where are you from? Where are you checking in from? Good morning. Good morning, Garnet, all the way from Virginia Beach. Yay. Good morning, good morning. We're happy to see you this morning. Let me know where you are. We're checking in. We're going to get started at 8:30. Here we go. Good morning, good morning. Chino Hills, California. Nice. All right. Welcome, welcome. Let me know where you are, what part of the world you're in. Today's a big day here in the United States. All righty. We got about another minute to go. Casper, you want to come up one more time? Casper, come on up. Come on up. Attaboy. There's the Casper boy. There's the Casper boy. It's Coffee with Casper time. Good morning from the Rose Bowl area. All right. Good morning, good morning. There's the Casper on camera. There he is. He's going to get down in a minute. There we go. There we go. Good morning, good morning. We're happy to see you this morning. Check it on in. Here we go. We're going to give it another 30 seconds here, and away we're going to go on this powerful day. Here we go. It's 8:30. Welcome from Idaho. All right, let's everybody take a breath. Allow that breath to go into your heart center. And now let's just give ourselves this 20 minutes together. We're looking for a new thought. That might be a thought you haven't had before. It might be a thought that comes around again at a new level. Good morning from North Carolina. We're glad to have you with us this morning. So a couple things I wanted to talk about today on this big day. As you see, I've got my I voted tags on. I'm happy to have that complete in my consciousness. Good morning from Hollywood. And I think, the couple of just basic ideas I wanted to remind us in the midst of this. Good morning, Loretta, all the way from Boise. We're in a place where that which is our underlying belief system, that which we are believing at the subconscious level, of course, that which we believe at the subconscious level is what's experiencing in our lives. That's what we call what is, as a man thinketh in his heart, as a human being believes at the subconscious level, what they're really believing becomes their experience. Hi there from Oregon. Nice to see you this morning. From Woodland Hills, California as well. So here's the underlying belief that I think all of us that consider ourselves awakening in the world, we have come to realize there is one energy, that energy and matter are interchangeable, therefore there's one intelligence, and everything is using that one intelligence that is energy or God or source, whatever you want to call it. We're all an aspect of the one. And of course, awakening, welcome from Palm Desert, awakening in the world means that we are able to understand the unity of all life and the interconnectedness of all life, and rely on the principles that are behind that which is happening in our experience. So one of the great thinkers in the mental science thinkers in the late 1800s was a man named Thomas Troward, who became a magistrate in India at the time when England was in control of that country. Anyway, he was a Christian-born fellow, and when he was in the East, he began to study a lot of the Eastern ideas. Welcome from the Science of Mind Archives and Library. We're happy to have you here today. And Judge Troward said that harmony is heaven's first law. Harmony is heaven's first law. So we've been talking about that when we talked about the understanding of the pendulums. That there's a principle of synchronicity, of harmony, that is behind whatever may be happening for a short term in the external world, and that principle behind will always emerge. So Judge Torrance said, harmony is heaven's first law, meaning that which is God or source or energy or love or intelligence, that which is the one from which all life, that which beats the heart in me and that which beats the heart in you and that which beats the heart in all living things is the same life force. It's undividable, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And of course, that's an idea here that was set in motion hundreds of years ago in the United States, written down and given as the high goal to attain. And that high goal is the infrastructure of the universe. And so for me, welcome from Las Vegas. So for me, to understand that is pretty simple. In the West, and that would be the Judeo-Christian tradition, we came up with this idea of a power for good and a power for evil. And that's the way duality plays out in expression. That's the way shadow and light play out in expression. You can't really see clearly unless there is shadow and light. Requires both of those things. The contrast brings us into this third dimension. But behind that is this eternality. And if eternality means it goes on forever and ever and ever, if there's only one thing, it must be one thing. Otherwise, if there were two things, one thing could rise up and destroy the other thing. Sort of the ongoing saga of Star Wars that George Lucas brought into the field all those for 35 years or 40 years ago. And that play is, of course, still going on because there is no way one could defeat the other in the external if they're born together in one. That the idea of darkness and light is an expression in dimension, in this what we call the third dimension. And what we also know, welcome from Chicago, what we also know is all around the world that that oneness is the same everywhere, in any language, in any culture, in any tradition, in any way of being. Oneness is the same because nothing can rise up in that which is eternal and wipe out eternal. Otherwise, it wouldn't be eternal. So the primary foundation of the universe must be harmony. And that is underneath and behind all things. So now there's another principle that I'd like to remind us of that we started way back many, many months ago, and now many, many episodes of Coffee with Casper, where we talk about the William James statement. William James was the great American psychologist in the early 1900s who said the greatest discovery of this or any generations is that human beings can alter their experience by altering their attitude of mind. They can change their experience by altering their attitude of mind. So what that is telling us is that the point of view that you have is very significant in what's going to be your experience. If you're believing that chaos is the result of today's election, then you're going to be fearful about chaos, and then you're going to be attracting and participating in the energy of chaos. If you are believing in harmony as heaven's first law, knowing that divine intelligence is behind each soul, therefore is behind the mass election that's happening, and the divine intelligence is guiding through everybody's I am consciousness, through their heart center, is guiding the whole, the plurality, into a new level of renewal. And I like that idea of renewal. Renewal is the replacing or repair of something that is worn out, run down, or broken. And certainly after all these years of divisiveness in our country, we are ready for a renewal. That we have been separating ourselves, dividing our unified consciousness into separation plays as if there weren't a principle of wholeness that was operating everything. So you'll forgive me, but I'm a boater. And one of the things I love about the sea is, of course, it's 2/3 of the planet is covered in ocean. And one can learn a lot from this huge bodies of water, and how we learned originally to travel. The very first travel was on these bodies of waters. So if you're a sailor, there's a principle in sailing that you can only head in the wind, you can only head 35 degrees up into the direct wind, that any sailboat will not sail at 35 degrees, above 35 degrees. It may move a little bit, but it's going to flop in the wind and not have any real navigatable control. So here you are. If you're on a sailboat and you believe that the wind will power the boat forward, and then you take the helm and you move the helm higher than 35 degrees into the wind, it will look like the principle of sailing doesn't work. But the principle of sailing is behind, and it is always there, and it always works. The principle of sailing is you can't head more than 35 degrees directly into the wind. So if you're the navigator or the pilot on that boat and you steer it up into the wind, it's going to look like it doesn't sail, and it will look like the principle of sailing doesn't work. But it's the person who has turned too high into the wind against the principle that is bringing forth the appearance that the principle doesn't work. So let's look here at this nation, and let's look at this nation as a slice of the hologram, meaning that every nation is the same, but this nation is involved in what has been a bunch of pilots or navigators heading too high into the wind. And that is creating this idea that liberty and justice and equality and renewal does not really exist. But liberty, which is the freedom to act as you choose, of course, what we know is liberty is different than license. So long as I'm acting as I choose in a way that doesn't harm anyone else, then liberty is my divine right. Justice is just that. It's fair. Things are fair. And in the universe, principles are always just. You know, we talk about this all the time. When you use the electricity to heat your toast in the toaster, the electricity principle is working just exactly perfectly and justly. If you then put that toaster in the bathtub, it will kill who's ever in the bathtub. And the principle of electricity is working just exactly the same with equality and justice. So it is humans that need to move away from the separation of my point of view is better than your point of view, or my point of view will save the world and your point of view will kill the world, and understand that that which is the eternality of the universe is born of heaven's first law. And rather than seeking to divide ourselves, we need to find a way to come together. And that coming together is in a principle. And we talked about that last week. Just because we agree on the principle of liberty and justice and equality and renewal, that which is broken or run down and needs to be changed or repaired or renewed, these principles exist everywhere. They're equally distributed. And the idea of them belongs to all people. There is a divine idea of the United States of America because in our major documents, which would be the Declaration of Independence, which is a very simple and clear document, and in the Constitution, these ideas of liberty and justice and equality and renewal were written down. They were like inscribed. They've been inscribed in the consciousness of humanity. Now, over these hundreds of years, we have not reached out into the field of humanity and demanded of ourselves that we all adjust the course, that we stop heading into the wind and believe that the boats don't sail. Boats do sail when you cooperate with the principle. Harmony is heaven's first law, and harmony will be revealed in this nation and in all nations once we begin to cooperate with heaven's first law, right? So another way of looking at that is if we've been paddling the kayak or the canoe upstream, we might notice that it's really hard to continue, that it takes a great deal of thrust and force and personal power to keep paddling upstream, upstream, upstream. And when we realize, oh, the flow of life is moving in a different direction, and we decide maybe I'm going to work with the flow of life and I'm going to turn my canoe around and go down the river. Well, now all of a sudden your canoe is going to be going much, much faster, and maybe when you first turn the canoe, you don't realize you have to control it much more because it's going much faster. Of course, the level of control is now going to be with the rudder in the back of the canoe, right? Because the force itself, just like in sailing, the force itself will be the wind. When we start going with the water, the force itself is the water running downhill. So when we start to cooperate with that, we have to take control. Now, when we first start to do that, we might not have control, and we might be going down the side of the river where there are rocks and scratchy and bumpy and rapids and all kinds of things that are causing our ride to be rough, even though we have changed course from our separateness and our belief in our righteous indignation over some other point of view, or our belief that somehow my tribe, and I believe there's only one tribe, it's the human tribe, and we need to begin to make choices that, because everything and everyone is interrelated and interconnected, we need to make choices that work for the whole human tribe. And we need to begin to open our awareness to discover that this idea of making selfish choices instead of selfless choices, or choices that work for the good of the whole, this is part of what's waking up in the human condition. This is what a world awakening is all about. When we all realize that not only are my actions significant, but my attitude of mind, which is creating my experience, is hugely significant. My attitude of harmony, which brings forth more harmony and working toward harmony, is hugely significant, because we already know human beings can alter their experience by altering their attitude of mind. So here, again, if you're watching from another country, we love our friend from Sri Lanka who keeps checking in, and our friends from the UK who have checked in, and Austria as well, and parts of Europe who are checking in. So this message is not for Americans. This message is for all people who are awakening. No matter what religion, color, creed, if you're awakening to the unity of all life, to that which is the life force within each and every one, and we're beginning to call that forward as the best way to live. The best way to live is to honor every other soul, and to understand that we can be unique in our attitudes and our points of view without dishonoring one another. That it is that honoring that each soul has already been born, already ordained by energy itself, by the life force itself. As the philosopher Ernest Holmes said, whatever you did to get this thing called consciousness, which creates your experience, you didn't do anything good enough to get it, and you can't do anything bad enough to take it away. Consciousness has already been given. It's been given from Supreme Intelligence itself, and that's the life force that is beating within you and within me. And that's the life force that is beating within all living things. Jane Goodall, who worked so many years with the gorillas, right, discovered that her attitude of mind and the way she chose to interact with the gorillas opened up a field of communication that prior to her research, nobody knew there was that level of innate intelligence inside of the gorilla that has a capacity to communicate and harmonize with human beings. I heard recently of a diver who was trying to free a shark who was tied up in lines, and we think of sharks as just eating machines. But somehow the shark allowed the diver to keep touching it, and then it allowed the diver to cut away the line. And when it was freed from the line, the shark came back to interact with the diver, not to eat it, to interact with it, and in fact to say thank you, just as we've seen this with dolphins and whales. So we know that there's a level of communication among life force at every dimension that can be reached. Now, if harmony is heaven's first law, and we are just a veil between, where we are the navigators who have set the course against the principle of unity and inclusiveness, and we've set that course, and then we're creating all of that banging as we're going along that flow, because we haven't adjusted to include everyone and to make everyone welcome, and to understand that each one of us has the capacity through our attitude. And that's really what we're talking about today. Today, and possibly for the next few days, we're going to see less than unified awareness, yes than unity, less than unity consciousness, perhaps acting out. And we, who are the light workers in the world, it is essential right now that we maintain the poise that knows that harmony is heaven's first law, that each one of us is divine, that each one of us is being guided by that thing called innate intelligence, which comes through us as intuition, to find a way to renew the United States, to renew life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, to renew honoring of all races and all colors and all creeds, to renew the honoring of souls up at that level, which the veil, which is thin between, is already, the heaven's first law already exists. We're not having to create heaven's first law. We're having to align with heaven's first law. Harmony is heaven's first law. And all of the dimensions of life, life beyond, if I'm an immortal spiritual being, then there are, and for example, my parents and maybe your parents are no longer here. But they exist. They are alive in consciousness somewhere. And what we know is the veil is very thin between. That's why we have what are called mediums and psychics. Some souls pick up on these very thin veils between dimensions. So there's a very thin veil between the reality of harmony as heaven's first law and our experience of harmony. But if we know that that is the truth, that divine peace, that divine creativity, that divine potential for bringing forth a world that works for everyone is everywhere present. It's everywhere present, and it doesn't go away even when a certain amount of masses of humanity or of the race are still believing they can sail directly into the wind and the boat will get there. You cannot sail directly into the wind. There's a principle involved there. And you cannot misuse the principle of harmony forever. You can create chaos, temporary chaos, by abusing the principle of harmony. But when you choose to align your attitude with the reality that all things work together for good, that all things are evolving to reveal the divinity and therefore the perfection of each and everyone's I am consciousness, which is a thin veil between my personal consciousness, my egoic awareness, and my I am consciousness. But as we meditate, and daily we affirm, and daily we use thoughts, which thoughts become things, thoughts filled with power and belief become ours experience. Attitude about how we're going to be and how things are going to come out is all happening based on where we're putting our attention. So today, as the world is changing, put your attention on harmony. Put your attention on divine intelligence, and let us know divine intelligence and the perfect laws of the universe, of energy itself, of source itself, of creator itself, of God itself, of the oneness itself. Those principles are being born in the mind and hearts of humanity, and in this nation, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for being a light worker in the world. Share this video anywhere you know it will do some good. let people become aware of it. You can find us on YouTube. You can go to newthought.com, click on social media. You'll find all of the episodes of Coffee with Casper. We've been seeking to bring forth the light of the awakening world, of the light workers in the world, as an aspect through this show, showing up, and your presence here makes a difference, and your sharing the video makes a difference. Who you are is magnificence. Your attitude is creating a brand new experience of good in your life. What we know is we're revealing the beacon of light that is this United States of America, that the ideas of life and liberty and freedom and equality shall reach out and touch every nation and every government, and we are revealing a world that works for all. Until we meet again, I invite you to go in the light and as the light and with the light. May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide you on your way. See you next week on Coffee with Casper.